Hello, I'd like to welcome Nick Smith, Executive Vice President, Managed Services at SmartStream. Nick, congratulations on winning Most Innovative Operational Resilience and Business Continuity Initiative in the A-Team Innovation Awards 2022. Please, would you tell us a little bit about what is innovative about the solution and what challenges it addresses?
Hey, well, first of all, let me say a big thank you for the award. Very exciting, and it's put a lot of smiles on faces within SmartStream. So thanks for having me today. Okay, talk about the award itself and what we've won it for. If we take a look at the management team here at SmartStream, many of us originate from tier one investment banks. And if somebody hasn't spent many years working in the big name banks, they've been at SmartStream a number of years and come with extensive product and domain knowledge. And the reason why I mention that is it's all about our ability to learn lessons from things that have taken place in the past and things that have really challenged the resiliency of the financial services industry. A lot of my team, we lived through the terrorist bombings in London in the early 1990s. Later on, we had things like the tsunami in Japan, which had a massive impact on the banking industry that had ripples throughout, globally. And then a year later, we had Hurricane Sandy on the east coast of the US. Again, massive impacts on the financial services industry. And then, as we all know, we've been living through the pandemic the last couple of years. So business resiliency, has been at the forefront of people's minds for a long time. And it's, through that experience and learning those lessons, how we think that at SmartStream, we've got industry leading and class leading program in this space. SmartStream, we utilize measures in really three different channels. We have our physical measures, we have our technology measures, and then we've got our protocols as well about how do we respond to different types of issues. Physical mitigation, it's nothing overly exciting. People won't think that's groundbreaking, but it's amazing the number of entities that don't have these things in place. So, for example, like we operate a split site capability. Now, that for me comes as second nature, having come to SmartStream from the banking world. But even now, today, literally today, I am working with banks who don't have a split site capability, and they're working with SmartStream to mitigate that risk. But by split site, I'm talking about how we have our staff split across multiple locations. They're not sitting in a single office altogether. So if there are any challenges with one location, we have staff live up and running in another location. We also operate secondary sites with hot seats. So we have offices nearby to existing offices. So if something was to happen, for instance, something as simple as the AC fails. And it's amazing how hot offices get in a short period of time when there's an AC failure. Well, we have offices nearby with hot seats in there that our staff literally go sit down and they carry on work as normal. And we operate a follow the sun model as well. So rather than having all of our eggs in one basket, we have locations throughout the world. So as the working day finishes in one location, we pass off to the next location, and that does that prevents multiple types of issues, but gives us the benefit that we reduces the location risk that we have in any one place. And what it also does is makes sure that we can hire the best talent in that location. As soon as you try and recruit someone to start at 1 a.m. in the morning, we never you're hiring from the cream of the crop. From a technology perspective, all of our locations where we operate our managed services capability from, we have multiple telecoms providers. It's not unknown for a telecoms provider to have issues and the lines go down. Well, in each of our locations, we make sure that we have multiple telecoms providers. So if one provider has any issues, we're simply switching it in the matter of seconds to the secondary provider. Whilst people have been working from home, that I know you're in the UK today, I've seen some of the public broadband providers having issues, and people will be working from home, and suddenly they got network connectivity issues. Well, we mitigate that by having multiple providers coming into each and every one of our locations. We have the usual backup generators. We have the UPS. I know recently there were storms in the UK as an example, and a lot of people lost power. Where we operate in our managed services capabilities, each and every location has backup generators with a minimum runtime and the UPS capabilities as well. So it's seamless if there are any issues with the utilities. What's really important to us and what's really accelerated our capability in this space, though, is working with the public cloud providers. These three primary public cloud providers, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, and because of their size and capability, they've also invested very, very heavily in this space. So we, from a SmartStream perspective, we see two sides around ensuring business resiliency. There's what we can do within SmartStream, and then is what our partners in the public cloud providers do as well. And we look to ensure that the two capabilities mirror each other. So anything a public cloud provider does, we can usually see exactly that we're doing exactly the same thing or something very similar, and vice versa. And simple things. So AWS have a great product, multi-availability zone. And what this provides is that our clients benefit from real-time replication of their data to a disaster recovery site. That site is within the same region as the main production environment, so there's no issues with latency, etc. But it's a real-time replication. So if there are any issues with the data center where the client's production environment is hosted, it literally automatically flips over to the disaster recovery site, and there is no data loss because it's real-time replication, which is absolutely fantastic. And I wish that capability had been available much sooner before the public cloud providers. And then we operate a belts and braces approach. So as well as that real-time replication, we also sit here and we also provide backups of the client's data. So as well as the disaster recovery environment, completely separate, there is a digital backup of the client's data. Now, I say digital backup because you'd be amazed at the number of banks who still come to us and talk to us about backing up to tape. And we operate a SaaS platform, managed services. We're a technology firm. I can't remember the last time tapes were even part of my conversation, except for when a client asked me how long does it back up to recover a backup from tape, and I just smiled and I said there are no tapes. We've all moved on since then. We're heavily into the cloud. And then the third channel there is just the protocols. From a SmartStream perspective, we've learned through experience, the management team, that you can have the best BCP planning in place. But if the staff are not aware and familiar with what the BCP plans are and what their role is in that plan, it's a waste of time. It's ineffective. So one of the lessons that we brought over from the investment banks with us is all of our staff go through semi-annual mandatory training around BCP, and everybody has a refresher on exactly what their role is in different scenarios and exactly what they need to do in those different scenarios. So that's part of our mandatory training. Which is extremely important because, as I said, if people are not aware of what their role is and what they need to do, we can have the best BCP plans in the world, but they would be ineffective. And then we do all of our regular testing. So when I talk about the secondary sites a few moments ago around one of our physical mitigation factors, we need to make sure that those secondary sites work and the staff are familiar with working from that site. Which desk is theirs, how do they log on, etc. So we do regular work in our secondary sites. Call tree tests. In fact, we did one last week where every 6 months we run our call tree test, which is just a refresher to make sure if there is an incident, we can reach and engage each and every one of our staff, in as short a time period as possible. Now, we also do annual BCP testing with our clients. Now, not all clients take us up on this, but we encourage our clients to do this, where we literally will spend a weekend and we'll go through a number of BCP exercises over that weekend so that our clients are familiar with us and we're familiar with them on exactly what we're all going to do and the communication channels and step by step, how do we cover from a range of different scenarios. So we think that's really important to us as well. So a very long answer to your question,
No
but there's a lot involved in making sure that we have a very robust framework around this.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Nick. Tell us a little bit about what this award means to SmartStream.
So, as you can probably guess from everything I just shared, it all comes at a cost. And that cost isn't just financial, it comes in time and effort of people as well. So to see all of our time and effort and the blood, sweat and tears that we've invested in this space and the award coming through, it's a recognition to everyone in SmartStream that's contributed to this. And again, it puts a lot of smiles on people's faces. So it's really, really important to us. And the other thing that I also recognises is none of this resiliency, comes at zero cost. We've invested a lot of time and money into this, and then just see that recognition coming through. It's really important to us.
That's great. Thank you very much. And lastly, Nick, what are your plans for further innovation around this business continuity program? Okay.
So nobody ever sits still. Now we're working on something that I'm really excited about this year. We'll be bringing it to market in the next few months. We should be done by the end of Q2. But it's something called cross-regional disaster recovery. So the public cloud capabilities that we use today, they are they're awesome in terms of the real-time replication of client data to a completely separate data center. And what that does is it minimizes any downtime, and it actually mitigates any risk of loss of data, which is absolutely brilliant. But as we know from history, there are times where a region can be impacted by a natural disaster, and Hurricane Sandy on the east coast of the US is a great example. So where the public cloud providers are providing that multi-availability zone type capability, that's all within a single region. And one of the reasons why that is, it comes down to things like physics, making sure that there's minimal latency between two different data centers. Well, what we're actually building out right now, what we're testing, and we should be live and up and running by the end of Q2, is cross-regional disaster recovery. So a few moments ago, I was talking about a belts and braces approach. What this really is for us is where, as well as that within region capability, which has got as good as zero downtime and no risk of losing data, we're actually introducing a capability to do cross-regional. So if a client, for example, wanted to be able to operate out of Europe, but have a cross-regional disaster recovery capability in North America, we'll be able to do that. If somebody was, for instance, operating out of Germany, but they wanted to be able to fail over to Ireland, we'll be able to do that. It's something that our clients have been asking for, and this is SmartStream responding to that feedback from the market. And to be honest, that's one of the key things around innovation, not developing innovation for the sake of doing innovation. Build it and hopefully people want it. This is SmartStream listening to our clients, listening to what they want, and us responding to that and bringing it to market. So to be honest, that's the next big thing that's coming out in the next few months in this space.
Thank you, Nick. Sounds great. And once again, congratulations.
Thank you.